This is Grey Merchant of Magic, and I love ranking silly magic things. Today, I'm ranking premier set symbols as they appear on cards, based on creativity, representativeness, artistic merit, and my own innate bias, based on my unique experiences, perception, and interests. I was originally going to do every set, but then I gave up, because I'm weak. I simply cannot think of unique things to say about the almost 40 slightly different shield symbols from various Commander products. No more preamble. 100. Homelands allegedly has a globe of Orgroth as its symbol, but I disagree. This is clearly nothing. This is why no one likes Homelands. It's cool that this list worked out to be 100 entries though. 99. Vision symbol looks like it comes from a core set. It's the Triangle of War, a not especially memorable Zalfiran symbol. It also has a V for visions, which indicates that they weren't especially confident in the clarity of their design. 98. Innistrad has two very stylized, very ugly herons, which, according to one single card from the set, are the symbol of Avacyn. Not to be confused with Avacyn's collar, the symbol for church. Avacyn isn't even in this set. 97. Arabian Nights has a scimitar, which is fitting enough for the setting, but it's not a great looking scimitar. I'm surprised that they went to this level of detail for literally the first ever set symbol. The printing capabilities of the day makes it look muddy. 96. Ravnica City of Guilds has a really ugly looking tower. I don't care that it represents the plain cityscape, it looks bad. 95. Planar Chaos has two overlapping planes, representing the alternate timelines flavor of the set. I'll be honest, up until the time that I wrote the script for this, I thought that these were two rings, and I was always confused as to what that had to do with anything. 94. Dragon Maze's symbol combines those of Return to Ravnica and Gatecrash, as the set featured all 10 guilds. It does not look good. Also, whenever I see it, I think of the Golgari symbol. Dark Ascension's symbol is Innistrad's symbol turned inwards, apparently. I guess it's kinda spooky looking. Guild Pact and Dissension both have wrought iron symbols because city? They also have 3 points to represent how each set focuses on 3 guilds. The Dissension one is broken to symbolize the collapse of the Guild Pact. They're alright designs, especially Guild Pacts, but the Ravnica connection is very weak. 91. Feature Sight has an eye because Sight is in the name of the set. I find it over-designed. 90. March of the Machine, the Aftermath, has a Planeswalker's Spark, but I found the design overly ambiguous. 89. I'm gonna say it. 7th edition 7 is ugly. 88. 5th Dawn has the Helm of Kaldra, an important item from the story and a general representation of the set's new equipment subtype. Unfortunately, I think many would mistake it as a house or something. 87. Scourge has a dragon head because of its dragon theme. It doesn't look very good. 86. March of the Machine has a sword piercing the Phyrexian symbol. I like it in concept, how it represents a pivotal story moment, but I don't think the execution is there. The ring part is just odd. Look, I know that Phyrexia all be one symbol has the Phyrexian symbol in its negative space, but I cannot get my brain to read it as anything other than a really fat Phyrexian symbol. 84. Shards of Alara, Conflex, and Alara Reborn all have similar generic symbols. They represent the 5 shards apart, coming together, and together, respectively, but they look like commander symbols or something. I also don't think that shards and conflicts were differentiated enough. 83. Innistrad Crimson Vow has a vampire bat, which is a fine enough representation of the vampire theme, but the design is just not it. 82. Nemesis uses the Axe of Krovax, who is probably one of the titular Nemesises. Nemeni? The stylization of the design can make it difficult to immediately recognize as an axe. The more horizontal set symbols tend not to work as well for me. 81. Zendikar has a Hedron, which is very important to the lore, but I think the design is just too simplistic. Throne of Eldraine has a symbol comprised of a sword, a crown, and a tabard. All of these represent the themes and setting of the set, but the overall design is doing too much. Look, I know that I said the last one was too simple and this one is doing too much. I'm a hypocrite who's bad at artistic analysis. Moving on. 79. Darksteel has the Shield of Caldera, which also doesn't look great. 78. World Wake has a Hedron opening up, representing the emerging threat of the Eldrazi. The design is more interesting than Zendikar's, but not by much. 77. Dominaria has a Banalish shield, which didn't translate very well. The common symbol also ended up being mistaken for uncommon a lot. 76. Zendikar Rising has a hedron. Again, it looks better than several of them, but still pretty bland. 75. Time Spiral has an hourglass, symbolizing time in general, and specifically that time is running out. This makes a lot of sense for the set, but I think the remastered version looks better. 74. Odyssey had the Morari, which was certainly an iconic and major part of the block, but the bottom half of the symbol's design is too messy. 73. 10th edition had the Twitter logo for some reason. Also, I think the lines are too thick. I'm losing my mind. 72. I have always wondered what the symbol for Scars of Mirrodin was supposed to be. It's a corroded Glimmervoid hexplate. That's an alright representation of the Phyrexian presence on the plane, but the lack of clarity loses points. Also, it's weird that Mirrodin Besieged symbol combines the Mirren and Phyrexian watermarks, but Scars of Mirrodin doesn't have the Mirren watermark as its symbol. I've said symbol entirely too much today. 71. Oath of the Gatewatch's symbol is evocative of the aesthetic of Kozilek's Brood, making it one of the more unique Zendikar symbols. 70. Ice Age has a snowflake, which is very fitting for the cold theme. Its design is overly intricate though, making it difficult to immediately make out on the card. 69. Ikoria Layer Behemoths has a monster's eye, which makes sense for the theme of the set. It's a little too cartoony. 68. Cold Snap has 3 icicles, representing its status as the 3rd entry in Ice Age block. It's just not doing enough for me. 67. 6th edition was the first core set to have a symbol that shows the Roman numeral for 6. 66. Onslaught uses a morph creature, which is very fitting for the set, but just kind of weird looking. 65. Battle for Zendikar does a slightly better version of a broken hedron. 64. Fate Reforged has Tassigur's 2 bananas as its symbol, or maybe a figurative representation of 2 opposing realities, representing the time travel nature of the set and stuff. I prefer my version though. 63. Mirrodin has the Sword of Kaldra. Looks better than the previous Mirrodin symbols, but still pretty cartoony. 62. Dragons of Tarkir fittingly has a dragon skull. The similarity to the Khan symbol is cool, but it looks too much like a Triceratops. 61. Our Devastation has the horns of Bolus. The imagery is all over the plane and is iconic to Magic as a whole, but I think the horns are too squished together in this rendition. 60. Urza's Saga has gears to represent the artificer status of the character. It has thematic disconnect, as the set was intended to be primarily enchantment themed, not artifact themed. 59. Exodus has a bridge, apparently to symbolize the exit from Wrath and transition from one chapter of the Weatherlight Saga to the next, which is very figurative for a set symbol. It's also a very quaint looking bridge for what is meant to represent such an epic concept. Fun fact, Exodus was the first set to introduce color coding to signify a card's rarity. 58. The Dark has a crescent moon to evoke the theme of the dark. It's okay, kind of bland. 57. Prophecy has a cluster of crystals, apparently in reference to the Ristic theme. There are also 3 of them, as it is the 3rd set of the block. While crystals were occasionally used in art to represent the theme, I don't think they were used enough for the average player to make that connection. I also find the design to be too blocky. 56. Antiquities has an anvil, which I guess connects to artifacts. It's not the most exciting though. They had so many options back then, and they really went for an anvil. 55. Betrayers of Kamigawa has a shuriken, which makes sense for the set that introduced ninjas. The design is too spindly for my taste. 54. Kamigawa Neon Dynasty has a sun over some mountains. It's one of the more creative approaches out there, but I can't say that it's one of my favorites. 53. Urza's Destiny's symbol is a flask, which is representative of the character's experiments. I spent an embarrassing amount of time trying to figure out where Erlenmeyer shows up in the Magic story. I realized that that's just the real name of this type of equipment. It's less artifact specific than the other symbols from this block, but the solid coloring doesn't look great in my opinion. 52. Avacyn Restored has Avacyn's collar, the symbol of her church. It's by far the best looking of the block. 51. Torment has a nightmare, a mechanical theme of the set, and general representation of the set's dark tone. It looks alright, but could easily be mistaken for a dragon or a snake or something. More so than the actual dragon symbol, actually. 50. Gate Crash has the top of a gate. It kind of looks like a bridge, but it's representative enough. 49. Champions of Kamigawa has a torii, a traditional Japanese gateway of spiritual significance. Fitting for the setting, it's also too spindly for my taste. 48. Magic 2010 to 2015 symbols are very straightforward. The numbers got slightly bigger over time, which I think looks better. Core set 2019 to 2021 then slightly refined the design further. 47. Magic Origins has part of the Planeswalker symbol over Horizon, as the set gave the origin stories of various Planeswalker characters. It's the most unique core set symbol, for it was probably the most unique core set. 46. Dominaria United's symbol is a combination of the Coalition symbol and a Banalish shield. It looks better than the plain Banalish shield, but not as good as the plain Coalition symbol. 45. Urza's Legacy has a hammer, which also represents Urza's artificer status. It has the same thematic issues as Saga, but looks better on the cards. It also has a cool connection to Antiquity's Anvil. 44. Mirage has a palm tree, which is an alright representation of the partially tropical setting. 43. Mirrodin Besieged has the Phyrexian symbol overlaid over the Mirren symbol, representing how the set is in between the primarily Mirren set and the primarily New Phyrexian set. The frequent use of watermarks would make players very familiar with the symbols. They would have been even more familiar if the Mirren symbol was the symbol of the first set. I'm not letting this go. 42. Kaladish's symbol is representative of Aether and is also reminiscent of the Plains filigree aesthetic. It looks pretty good. 41. Born of the Gods has a symbol symbolizing the horns of Xenagos, the antagonist of the set. It's subtle but effective. 40. Journeying to Nyx combines the symbols of Theros and Born of the Gods. It's the best block combination symbol that they've done. 39. However, War of the Spark symbol, which overlays Bolas's horns over the Planeswalker symbol, is the best combination of pre-existing symbols from larger than just the block. 38. 8th and 9th edition are my personal favorite core set symbols. They're cute. 37. Fallen Empires has a nice looking crown, which conveys an empire, but not a fallen empire. You know, maybe they could have been upside down or broken. 36. Legions has a shield and spears, which matches the concept of a legion well. Unfortunately, with time, the shield symbol motif has become a lot less unique. 35. Stronghold has the door to the titular stronghold. It looks good, but I feel like there were more exciting elements of the volcanic super layer to take inspiration from. 34. Theros has an altar, which is evocative enough of Greece. 33. Aether Revolt's symbol loosely represents the leaking spire motif of the Renegades. In another context, I might call it overdesigned, but I think it fits the setting. 32. Plane Shift finally has a good-looking plane symbol representing the planar overlay after a number of bad ones. 31. Shadowmoor has the top of the Reaper King's crown, apparently. It's also easy to interpret as a bat's wing or a dead leaf, all of which are fitting for the dark inverse theme of the set, as is the fact that it's oriented opposite from Lauren's symbol. 30. Rivals of Ixalan's symbol combines a steering wheel with the spires of Orzaka. It looks good, but is overly similar to Ixalan's symbol. 29. Eventide has a flipped sun, which mirrors Morningtide's, but is again not the most unique. 28. Finally, a good Dragon's Head symbol from Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. The D20 base is also a nice touch. 27. Gods Ravnica has a cityscape, the first Ravnican symbol to represent multiple towers at once, which I think looks a lot better. 26. The Phyrexian symbol used for New Phyrexia is great. It's simple, well-designed, and frequently incorporated into card text and art. 25. Saviors of Kamigawa has a Toro, a traditional East Asian lantern. It's the least specific to Japan of Kamigawa block, but the best looking. 24. The Egyptian-inspired Amonkhet has a pyramid, simple and effective. 23. Judgment, fittingly, has some well-designed scales, representing how the set balances out Torment's blackness by emphasizing white and green. 22. Alliances has a pennant, which is very fitting for a set about affiliation. I also like how windswept it is, as if the wielder is charging into battle. 21. Invasion uses the coalition symbol, which is very fitting for the set. Additionally, they did a good job of incorporating the symbol into the art of many cards from this and later sets, so players would have a good chance of learning its meaning. 20. Innistrad Midnight Hunt has a really good-looking werewolf over a full moon. I can't believe werewolf fans felt slighted when their symbol was so much better than the vampire one. 19. Tempest symbol is a storm cloud, which very clearly fits into the set's name. It also fits the literal and metaphorical storms of wrath. 18. Mercadian Masks has the titular Mercadian mask, or a mask that one might wear at a titular Mercadian mask. Is there an actual masquerade in Mercadian Masks? It represents the deception and intrigue themes of the set well, and very effectively uses white space. 17. Lauren symbol can be interpreted as both an elf's ear and a leaf, both of which fit the setting. I like that it has alternative meanings, and I think that looks slightly better than Shadowmoor's symbol. 16. The Brothers' War has two clashing gears, representing the set's artifact and conflict themes. It's also a neat twist on the Urza's Saga symbol. 15. Eldritch Moon has a symbol reminiscent of both Liliana's headpiece and Emrakul. I wonder if anyone was speculating that Emrakul and Liliana were the same person then. Probably. Anyway, the double meaning is cool. 14. Rise of the Eldrazi has an open dehedron, representing the release of the Eldrazi. It's by far the most interesting design of a Zendikar symbol. 13. Return to Ravnica's symbol is meant to represent a gate, or possibly the nib of a pen. Even though it's simplistic, I think that it really works. 12. Weatherlight's symbol is the Thran Tome, a part of the Legacy, which was very important to the story of the set. Most players probably thought it was just a regular book, but that's okay too. But that's fitting enough as a fantasy symbol. It's very well designed. I like how it looks like it's being flipped through. 11. Kaldheim has a battle axe, of which there were many in the set. It's very well designed. 10. Legends has a column. I can kind of see how that connects to legendary people, since we associate columns with history and temples, venerating great figures. It's not very direct, but it's difficult to represent such an intangible concept. What it may lose in representativeness, it makes up for by looking really clean. I like the diagonal cut to make it look more visually interesting. 9. Strixhaven School of Mages has a really good looking Strix. That's all there is to it. 8. Streets of New Capenna has brass knuckles over angel wings, representing the respective crime and angel themes of the set. As silly as the design is, I have to admit that it goes pretty hard. 7. Apocalypse has the Mask of Yawgmoth, representing the Phyrexian presence in the set. This visual appeared in the art of a bunch of cards in the set and block, training players to recognize it. However, it's also unsettling in a vacuum, making it familiar to those who might not be familiar with the lore. 6. Morning Tide has a fiery sun, representing the light of this version of the plane. The design is really great. 5. Shadows over Innistrad has an inverse version of Avacyn's collar, the symbol representing her corruption. It looking like an Omega also has a menacing tone. Overall, it's really well done. 4. Theros Beyond Death has a returned mask as its symbol. The visual is really striking and very relevant to the story of the set. Additionally, the mask appeared frequently enough in advertising and art and past sets to be very recognizable to players. 3. Ixalan's symbol represents both a compass rose and the wheel of a ship. Both relate to the set's themes of exploration and discovery, and it looks very clean. 2. There's no better way to put it. Khans of Tarkir's symbol is sick. The swords and shield represent the war-torn nature of the plane very well. And even though those two elements aren't uncommon in set symbols, the execution here is just great. 1. Ravnica Allegiance's symbol is a flipped version of Guilds of Ravnica's. At first, this may seem lazy, but it has a super cool detail of subtly referencing the horns of Bolus, the secret villain of the set. That's just really sick design, making it my personal favorite ever Premier set symbol. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this exercise interesting. Making this list definitely gave me a new appreciation for set symbols. I definitely overlooked them a lot in the past, but they matter. Collecting and trading would be much more difficult without them, and they definitely impact the overall aesthetics of the card. I also finally learned what several symbols are supposed to be. What's your favorite set symbol? Did I forget any? Probably. Should I make a sequel where I suffer through ranking all of the Commander set symbols? Let me know the answer to any of these in the comments. Engagement really helps, and I'm less than 30 subscribers away from having self-worth, so anything you do would be greatly appreciated. As always, big thanks to my patrons for supporting this channel and helping make these videos possible.